lose, lose. And then you tap and you see, okay, this was the moment when they passed my guard. Because if you're just busy gritting your teeth and trying to survive, adrenaline's running, you're not going to remember what happened. So if you've decided this roll from the beginning is going to be a flow roll, then even if your opponent starts beating you, even if your opponent is cheating, right? We both agreed, because that's what always happens. Someone feels salty. Someone's just like, we said we were going light, and he's moving fast. I saw him, he moved fast, he's cheating, and then you move fast, and then they move fast, and then you're not flow rolling anymore. So it doesn't have to be a flow roll, but it's you want to let it happen. So he passed my guard doing this. Okay, I'm vulnerable to a knee cut, classic pass. Whatever my guard is vulnerable to that. I wonder why that happened. Now think about it and move again. We'll start again. But if you lose, you get to start again. But if you grit your teeth and now you're going to spend the next 1 to 3 minutes in survival mode, just trying to not lose. And you're not going to remember what the heck the lesson was you were trying to learn from this loss. You're just going to remember this guy's an asshole. He said we were flow rolling and he didn't flow roll. So the whole idea is every single roll, flow roll, competition roll, whatever it is, should be teaching you something. And so let yourself lose and then try again. The reason why I brought up grit earlier is that there is a certain amount of time when you need to do what you're probably already doing, which is roll and try and win and not give up until the very last minute as long as you don't get injured. You need that because when you compete or you actually fight, you have to be able to manage adrenaline. And so you need to do that some. But that's not the way you should be usually rolling. Like that should be 10 to 20% of all your rolls. The majority of your rolls, you should be not having to tap into whatever physical attributes that you have, right? So we all have something. Maybe you're very flexible, maybe you're very fast, maybe you're very strong. But you shouldn't always need to tap into that to accomplish your goals. You're like, but I'm a beginner, I'm going to lose. Yes. But that's okay. Any grievances that you have?
Things that I run into because I am one of the largest guys in the class. Mm-hmm. And when I first started training, I trained with a lot of former military.
Oh yeah, so they all go piss and vinegar.
Yeah, so it was pretty much, all out from the very beginning. And even now, I still get a lot of that until either it's somebody I've trained with enough that things kind of calm down, or
So is the hard part you calming down or them calming down?
Typically them calming down.
Also because you're very tall and very big, they feel they're gonna have to go full out with you.
And I've got plenty of injuries over the years that I work around from time to time. So.
Okay. And you?
I'm working on my little man problem.
Little man problem.
Yeah, well, I'm basically the same. I'm mostly the lightest, and when I started BJJ, I almost quit because in the morning gym I got smashed from the new blue belts, from the heavy new blue belts, like literally smashed every time. So.
Okay. We'll just finish the soup circle, then I'll get into kind of some remedies for this. Go ahead.
Injury-wise, just I've been getting tennis elbow, and I feel like I can't do a lot of things without making it worse.
All right. Yep.
So historically, I have been playing a very reactionary game, and lately I've been going into all my roles with a very specific idea of what I want to do to be able to win that goal, or win that match. Even
all right.
if I don't win, and I found that's helping me a lot. I want to see how that.
Well, that's actually very similar. Is making similar like small goals. Right, so if you make the goal just win or lose, then you're probably going to lose. But even if you win, you're not acquiring a skill. So you want to set little mini goals. And so maybe your mini goal is, I have to get to side control, or I have to get to knee on belly, or I have to get to their back. Or in the case where you're just getting wrecked, I'm not going to be armbarred. Maybe he'll choke me, maybe he'll leg lock me, everything else, but I'm going to work on my armbar defense. So I'm not going to lose to that submission. That doesn't mean if you get caught in an armbar, you don't tap and get injured. But making your goals smaller is going to be a really good way to help that. Yeah.
Well, I've had the problem where I always say before a match, let's not make this life and death. But then we get into it, and
It escalates.
I also want
You want to win.
to look how far it can go. He wants it as well, and yesterday I rolled with Kim, one of the black belts, and it was awesome. We were just playing.
Yeah.
It was really, really nice. And why can't it always be like that?
I think a lot of times it's a conversation, and the black belts know how to do that. And so you feel the energy. When you touch someone, you can feel all their anxiety and their stress. Like if I'm trying to have a casual roll with someone, be kind, and I see their hands shaking because they're so amped up, like this is not going to be a chill roll. They're going to try and murder me, and I have to protect myself. Because I'm a medium-sized person, which means there are people smaller and bigger than me. But if I stay entirely relaxed and this person goes and clubs me in the face, I'm going to get injured just like anybody else. Like it's not a superpower. It's just I just have more experience. And so talking helps. Like, and if someone is injuring you, so there's a difference between beating you and injuring you. If someone's just tapping you out, that's fine. But if someone is injuring you regularly or injuring people in the gym regularly, then you have to tell them, hey, this isn't okay. And that's the hardest part because no one wants to be part of that confrontation. Because you're talking to this person and you're like, but what you do, one of the tricks for that, and like this is the kind of thing is you just tap. But you tap way early. Like if they have a habit of cranking something, even before they get to it, just tap. And do that 3 or 4 times in a row. Like tap out 4 or 5 times in like a minute. And then they're going to be like, what the hell are you doing? You'll be like, you've proven to me I can't trust you. So if you put me in a situation where you're going to do this, I can't trust you not to injure me. And I have a job, I have a life, I have a family. I can't afford to have you breaking me. So if you can calm down, then we can do jiu-jitsu. But if you can't, then this is what rolling with me is going to be like. It's just going to be tapping out. So it's up to you if you can calm down. If you can, then we can roll. If you can't calm down, then this is what it's going to be. And this is the hardest thing ever because you have to swallow your pride. But I think this is really one of the best things. The same thing with rules. So before the match begins, agree on what the rules are. Are we doing leg locks? Are we doing wrist locks? Are we doing neck cranks? What are the rules? Communicate that so that there's no surprises. And if someone says, if you both say that you're going to have a flow roll or have a lighter roll and you see it escalating, you can't control them. So you have to be the one to be like, hey, I think we're getting a bit too intense. Let's dial this back. But it's not easy. It's not easy at all. Last one.
2 things. Well, besides all the injuries and stuff, I'm a member of the morning group in my school. So I usually roll with the same 7 to 10 people. They all consider me a threat, so they all go full out. Even though I'm not an offensive roller, I'm more reactionary.
Okay.
But they feel like they have to prove something. So we can start slow as soon as I
start winning.
Set them out first.
Yeah.
Then they go all out.
Yep.
And I try to prevent injuries. I try not to go to work with blue eyes, with split lips.
Exactly.
That happens. And the second thing is that my mind is really, I don't know, ones and zeros. So
you don't have a medium.
I find myself hard trying new techniques before I'm sure I know them from the beginning to the end.
Yes. So mess them up.
Yeah, but in my mind, I'd rather not do them.
And you'd be right.
I don't feel like I know them.
You'd be 100% right if you were at a competition. And that's, I think, the real issue with all of these problems that are happening with your training partners and you guys is really that we feel that the role is a match. And it can be. It's valuable, like I said, to do that occasionally. But it's not. It's I think of it like a science laboratory. It's a chance to experiment. And so having a conversation with your training partners and being like, hey, like let's explore. Let's try some new stuff. Like you're winning, so you probably have a game, like an A game, that's really good. And you use it and you tap it. Maybe it's guillotines, straight arm bars, whatever it is. And you have a guard pass that gets there and a setup and you hit them with it over and over again. Well, now you're pretty good at it. So maybe now Set a restriction for yourself. You can't use that move. You don't have to win, but you take that away from yourself, and now you have more interesting rolls. So, the very first thing I'm going to say, what changed things for me, because I used to get injured about every month. Because I would, it's very much a sport thing to be told. How much are you supposed to give? You give 100%. You try your best. But that was the exact reason why I was always hurt. And so Christian actually said this at the first Globetrotters camp I went to in Heidelberg. That's how he went through all those camps and never got injured. He got finally, ironically, as he was doing this, he had just hurt himself. But he had been through like 30 some odd camps and had never been injured. And he has 2 rules. Always warm up. No matter what. Always warm up. Doesn't be a big warm up, but just go through all your joints, move your neck, move your shoulders, elbows, knees, etc. Always warm up. That's thing number 1. And then thing number 2, never go harder than 80%. So if you're rolling and you feel like you have to like reach down, that's that feeling, expression, dig deep. If you feel like you have to dig deep, don't. And all of this is very counterintuitive, right? Because what are you told? Try your hardest, give your best. But if you get to that point where you feel yourself, like, I have to push, just relax. Like, let whatever's, come on in. How you doing? Let whatever's happening happen. If that's you getting armbarred, obviously tap before they break your arm. But you get armbarred. What's up? No problem. You just get armbarred. And then you think about, okay, they passed my guard with this, they did this with that, and then you move forward. So that's the first thing. 80% is your max, and always warm up. Just those 2 things have helped me a lot. Now, for those of you that are small people that are always getting killed, you're going to have to talk. You're going to have a conversation with your training partners. And it's not going to work the first time. The first time you talk to them about this, they're like, yeah. And they're going to do the exact same shit. It's going to take 2, 3, 4 conversations. But you have to be disciplined. And if they go and try and smash you, just tap. Okay, let's do it again. What happened? You're trying to kill me. I'm not trying to get injured. So maybe you can calm down. The easiest way is to roll with upper belts. And ask them, be like, hey, I'm struggling. Can we have like a lighter roll and maybe you'll tell me some stuff I'm doing wrong? I'd really appreciate it. But if you're at a gym where it's just white and blue belts, well then it's kind of a situation where you have to try and be like, hey, how about this? But if they're still not, really playing along with it, well then you have to change your goal. So maybe now your goal would become, I'm just going to work on, if you're playing preach system, I'm just going to work on my running man. Or if you're playing a regular guard, maybe I'm just going to work on my butterfly guard. Or not spider guard, that's pretty advanced. Butterfly guard, closed guard, whatever. And as they pass your guard, obviously try and recover and do your thing. But if you feel yourself like, when someone's about to armbar you and you're here and your arms are shaking, just let go. Also, to not get injured, whenever you're tapping out, continue resisting while you're tapping out. I've seen a lot of people get hurt, where as they tap, they make their arm go limp, and the other person is on like adrenaline craziness. And they're like, ah. And then you relax, but they didn't know that. As you're tapping, their signal hasn't gotten to their brain yet, like this person gave up. They're thinking, I have to break this grip, and they're going really hard. So you keep resisting, and if you need to, say tap, tap, tap. Like, I never got it. It's like, yeah, but I'm not risking my arm. Say tap before you get there. Now, obviously, as you get more advanced, you can start working on late-stage defenses. But you and your partner have to get to a place where they understand that tapping you out is not the number one priority. The number one priority in this role is to grow. Because you should be able to get submitted in class and not get injured. And so that becomes a cultural thing for your gym and your training partners where, say, for example, let's imagine I'm rolling with you and I get a heel hook on you and you're not tapping. I'm not going to blow your knee up. That'll show him. He'll tap next time. So it has to come from the person receiving and the person defending. I'll be like, hey, maybe you should tap. And if you don't, just let it go. Now do something else. Making sense? And so, but for the person receiving it, if you're there and you have somebody who's you see viciously like cranking on whatever you have and you're holding on for dear life, how is this making you better at jiu-jitsu? It's teaching you to, I mean, like I said, grit is important. You're gaining grit in that moment. But you only need to know that you have that place in your head. You have that place where you can push through drama or adversity. Once you know that you have that place inside of you, all you're doing is injuring your body by going to that place frequently. So you should go to that place, like I said, like maybe once a week, maybe less frequently if you're not competing frequently, because you need to keep that place. But that's not the place to be, because when you increase adrenaline, your body is really good at things that it's already good at. So if let's imagine you have a bad habit, right? You have a bad habit of doing this guard pass incorrectly. If you amp up the adrenaline, you're going to do it harder and faster the wrong way. Because when your body goes into fight or flight, it trusts experience. And so it's whatever path is carved most deeply in your head is what you're going to do. But if you calm down, then your brain's able to do new things because you're not all agitated up. So keep yourself in that lower state so now you can try something new. And it might not work, but every role should have a goal. My favorite thing to do, so for those of you that are blue belts, when you're rolling with the white belts, is you have a goal and they don't know what it is. They think you're just rolling. But maybe you restrict yourself. So one of my favorite games to play is called Hangman. And so Hangman means, do you guys have that game Hangman where you guess letters to words and then you create it looks like a guy being hung? It's kind of a morbid game when you think about it. Like you learn that when you're like 3 or 4 and like, it's very strange, right? Like 3 and 4-year-olds, like this is someone being hung. Like, oh, quaint. But you have to tap out every limb of your opponent's body. So you have to get them an armbar. Now you can no longer attack that arm. The other arm, the leg, and the neck. If you tap them out 5 times, then you accomplish the goal of Hangman. This is a way that now, because you're restricting yourself, your opponent gets a better chance. Because maybe you're really good at armbarring people's right arms. Or whatever your move is, right? But then now you have to go into a weaker game for you. And for you, you might want to just not finish people. You have to, because you're big, people aren't going to trust you. That's just the truth. Because they've met another big guy who maybe fell on them, injured them. They've had a bad experience with a big guy. And they're not treating you like you. You are every other horrible big guy who's injured them in their whole jiu-jitsu career. That's who you are. You're not you. You are an archetype of pain in the butt training partners. And that's not your fault, but you're big. And like mass matters. Large amounts of mass moving cause more damage than small amounts of mass moving. So you have to gain their trust by, if you have an opportunity to neon belly through someone and break their soul, maybe do it slowly or maybe don't. Because if you do it once. The other thing is, if you're just losing, you just set little goals. So that's the general idea of that. The next game, to make things more fair, is get with your partner and be like, hey, I want to have a competitive role, so let's play a game. And so if you're the lower belt, and now obviously they might not agree to this, but if they're a higher belt than you, they should have the courage to agree to this. So if you're 2 white belts training together, you just train. If you're white and blue, the white belt gets to take one move and say that their opponent can't use that one move. And whatever it is. And so if you're the small person or the white belt and you're dealing with a blue belt, right? It's not even about the belt. It's about, like, if you're the person who always loses this match, you're going to try and make this a more even match. And so, hey, let's play a game. Let's see how this goes. And so you could tell me no darces or no footlocks. But if it's a white belt with a purple belt, you get to steal 2 moves from them. White belt with a brown belt, 3 moves. White belt with a black belt, 4 moves. And so if you've rolled with this person before, you can take the 4 moves they've messed you up with. Now they have to be creative. And it's going to be really good for them because they get to grow and be creative. And for you, you get a chance. And this is one of my favorite drills as an upper belt because it's not valuable to me to just smash white belts' faces all day. As much as, like, yeah, I won. It's not fun to just, if I turn on and play my A game and just, if I go and tap one of my training partners out like 10 times in a row, like maybe that's fun, but it's not helping me get better at jiu-jitsu. But having to think and solve problems. Another example would be, this is one of my favorite games. I'll be writing these down and sending them to you, but you please write them down as well because I'm delirious. Like I'm probably going to fall back asleep after this and not be the most coherent. It's just taking things to even the odds. It's like handicapping in golf, right? If you're playing golf with a professional, they get a handicap so that you guys can both still have fun playing golf together. Right? If I'm playing golf with Tiger Woods, what's the point? He's obviously going to win. But we get a handicap, now we can both kind of still play. So the next thing is you get tennis balls. This is one of my favorite games. And you both start the match out with one tennis ball in one hand. So you have one and I have one. If I drop the tennis ball, it's just like getting tapped out. So I can't let go of the tennis ball. So it forces me to use my elbows and other things as grips. But if you tap me out, now you have both tennis balls. So now you're rolling with no grips for two hands. And then if I tap you out, I get one of the balls back and we're back to even. This is one of my favorite drills because it teaches you not to over-rely on your grips. These are all games and they sound like fun. Another one of my favorite games. This is literally my favorite game. So because I like footlocks, I want to teach people to protect their legs. So we each put one sock on. And if I can steal your sock, I win. And so it's going to make you hide your legs. And now, like I might be better than you in jiu-jitsu, but you might be able to steal my sock. Right? Because he might be bigger than you. He's crushing you, but he's neglecting his foot. You reach over, you win. Because if I have enough control of your leg to take your sock off, then I can probably leg lock you. But there's no risk of you injuring your leg because you're beginners. You don't know leg locks. The same thing is another drill that I have for thinking about self-defense or mixed martial arts. You get a beanie. I actually have a beanie, right? And I have a beanie. Ooh. Oh, lozenges. And you have a beanie. If you steal my beanie, that means you could punch me in the face. That's probably not good for me. So I have a match, but I can't let you steal my beanie. You'd be shocked at how different the match goes. Right? And so all of these little things are just to keep the game interesting. Right? And you can have so much fun. If you don't have beanies, right, you don't want to use toys, this is one of my favorite drills. I do this when I have kids in adult class. And so I had like a 8-year-old little girl. And she was the only kid in the class. And the rest is all adults. And so it's a game where one person sits on their butt and they're practicing their open guard. And the little girl's job is to touch their hair. If she can touch your hair, she can punch you in the face. And that means that you're not having a good guard. Your job is to trip her. If her butt touches the floor, then you win. But obviously, this is a 9-year-old girl. So you have to do it with grace. Because if you're dealing with a 9-year-old little girl and you kick her across the room, that's probably not the best way to win this game. And you won, right? Her butt hit the floor. I won, yeah. But anybody can understand that if you just broke a 9-year-old child in half, you probably didn't get the point of the game. And I've seen where a little child who's been doing jiu-jitsu like 3 months can give grown men a run for their money because little kids don't get tired. And she's running in circles, trying to touch their hair, and they're having to, and it's a great drill. And my guard's getting better, and the little kid gets to be part of class. And you can do it with adults as well, and it gets a little bit more serious, but you're not having a whole roll. And so the second that you get, because you're focusing on one piece of context. So that's really the goal. When I say have a goal, these drills are ways to force you to have these goals. But the best thing is if you just keep this to yourself, right? Maybe you just keep that in your head and you keep track yourself, but you don't tell them. So your opponent doesn't know that you're keeping track of how many times that you touch their hair. But you do. or your opponent doesn't know that your job is just to make your knee touch their belly or to get to side control, and then you let them recover their guard and you do it again. And so you have your opponent's just trying to win, but you're playing a different game than they are. And so what'll happen is they might be beating you up, but you're sitting there laughing because you have a goal they don't know about. And so you can have fun. You're a little guy. You're being crushed in side control, but maybe your goal is just he can't get in this space. And so you're laying down and you're turtling and you're doing your thing, or maybe your goal is just to not let them get top mount. And they have you in side control and you're like, ha. And they have no idea what's going on. And once you can beat someone who doesn't know they're playing that game with you, the next step is to take a lower belt and tell them, hey, can you try and do this to me? And then now there's someone actually trying to beat you at this game. But because the goal is not to submit you, the goal is to do one of these things, you'll find that it becomes, like you said, it was fun rolling with that black belt because you were playing. It shifts the focus to play instead of fighting. And play is one of the best ways to grow and learn, because you realize like someone's going to be better at this game and you're going to grow from it. But every single time that you go away from the context, this piece of jiu-jitsu that you're trying to focus on and grow with, you start over. Just you run into one of those people who just happens to be kind of just a savant. They're not a savant. They probably did wrestling or they did some other activity that predisposed them to doing well, right? Or they're just putting in more hours than you. And so them beating you shouldn't be like, it shouldn't be about maintaining your spot in the pecking order of your gym, because then what's going to happen? You're going to learn something and you're not going to share it with your teammates because you have to keep your spot. And so then the whole school is going to suffer. So you have to willingly share with your teammates, share with the people at your school, because you want to get better. I literally purposely, they describe teaching jiu-jitsu as training snakes to bite you. I had a class that I taught at the school that I taught at back in Florida, and I literally taught them nothing but how to beat me. So even though they were blue belts, I taught them, here's how you ruin my game. Here's how you ruin me. And so versus somebody else, they might be blue belts, but versus me, they can have a competitive role with me because I've taught them, here's my anti-venom. So what you want to do in that situation is go back to losing. You say, okay, today I am only going to focus on passing guard, or I'm only going to focus on X, Y, and Z. And this is going to really help you. Now, you have to you have to take a step back to come forward. And so for you have what sounds like to me a bunch of people in your class who it's really important to them. They're using you as a measuring stick. They're using you as, if I beat him, then it means that I'm good or I'm getting better. So I have to go hard because I want to use you as a measuring stick. And that's fine, but it's not particularly valuable to you. And so you have two choices. You can provide that service to your gym of being the measuring stick and always have to be on, or you can give them what they want. Tap. And after they've gotten out of their system, after they've tapped you out 10, 20 times, it's not fun anymore. It's not special anymore. And now you can back off and start exploring. Hey, I want to work on my De La Hiva. Do me a favor and let's not go ham so I can try and learn De La Hiva. And when they go ham, just tap out. The tap out in jiu-jitsu is the most amazing tool. It's literally for lack of it's a horrible comparison, but it's perfect. It's just like S&M, it's a safe word. This is not what I agreed to. I'm okay with whatever this is, but I did not agree to pineapples. Right? I did not agree to this. It's not okay. Right? So whatever it is. And so it's what allows us to do this. If you violate the sanctity of the tap, then we can't do this anymore. Because you're literally having people who could break your limbs and choke you unconscious. This only works if we're all on the same page. And so when you have an abusive person in the gym, the classic thing is to have a mat enforcer and your coach is hey, get him. And your coach has that person who's getting a little too rambunctious just gets smashed, usually by one of the purple or brown belts. But they never talk to them about it. The old way is not It's just showing them, and it's fine. Some people are like, oh yeah, there's someone who can do that to me. I don't like that. But there's some sadistic, crazy people who like it. So the mat enforcer gets sent for them with a coach, and they're like, yeah. And so this didn't solve the problem. Because you're telling them this behavior is unacceptable, but then you're doing the exact same behavior yourself. It's always better to talk and be like, hey. So here's another little fun guideline. This I got from my friend. He runs a gym in Florida as well, and it's a really nice little guideline. This is something to maybe talk to your coach about, or not all coaches agree with this. It's 1, you're not allowed to coach unless you can tap your partner out 3 times in a row. Meaning, because a lot of times what happens is, we've all had that guy or that girl who you're about to tap them out, and then they start coaching you. Yeah, good. Almost there, good, yeah. And it's to protect their ego, because they don't want to admit that this person can beat them. But that's because their mindset is still that this is a fight, this is a match, when we're supposed to be training. It's not supposed to be, like my honor is on the line every time I go to roll, because that's why you're injured. It's okay to tap. Like, I'm a black belt. I got tapped out by a blue belt when I was in South Florida. I wanted to see if I could get out of his back control. It was better than I thought. I tapped. Now, I could have sat there and gritted my teeth and let him just continue to rub his hand on my trachea because I wasn't going to go to sleep. But then I can't talk for a week. But the blue belt didn't tap me out. So I get some gold stars. Just tap. But these are the unspoken things that happen within the context of our gyms. Everyone has a list of people in their head at their gym who they're supposed to beat, and a list of people in their gym that's supposed to beat them. And then a middle group that, who knows? I'm telling you, it's not healthy. It's fine once a week. Once a week, go to the Thunderdome, do your thing, have fun. But the rest of the time, you gotta back off. One more game. This is one of my favorite. Every time I tap you out, I lose something. So I tap you out. Now I have to put one hand in my belt. So now I'm rolling with one hand. Tap you out again, 2 hands in my belt. Tap you out again, I gotta close my eyes. Tap you out with no hands and no eyes, then I win. But if you tap me out, I get an arm back. Tap me out again, I get my both arms back. And you'll be shocked how much you learn. And all of these games are incredibly valuable. And you guys are white and blue belts, and so you can use these against the people at your gym that you beat, but it's the kind of thing like, hey, I went to camp and I learned this cool game. You want to try and play with me? Now, it's horrible. It's not horrible, but it's really good for you because you get to have a roll. Maybe a roll without their knee on your eyeball. And they get to get better. It's good for them. It's going to make them better. It's all making sense. So, blue belt blues, start over. Literally just start all the way over. For me, I literally said, I am going to play guard because I was incredibly embarrassed. I was a blue belt and I was like, this is embarrassing. The arm bar from guard is the most classic jiu-jitsu move ever. I had never hit anyone. I'd never done it. I'd never done a guard arm bar, and as a blue belt, I felt ashamed. And so for a year, I played guard. Or I got obsessed with leg locks for a while, and I was like, I hope I'm not a one-trick pony. And so I started just not leg locking for a little while, just to remind myself, you do more jiu-jitsu than that. As a blue belt, people always used to say it was it's that whole thing, I think, what's his name? He makes the little jiu-jitsu comics online. Mortal Choke. He has that one, it's him, and he's his girlfriend's next to him. He's like, what's wrong? He's like, somebody called me strong, and he's got the one tear. Because every time that you, especially it probably happens to you all the time, if you win, you're so strong. I'm good. So for me, everyone used to always tell me, it's that breakdancing. I was just I'm good at jiu-jitsu. And so I tried my best to turn off those skills. For you, Jack, who's a brown belt, what you're going to realize is that it all changes at brown belt. Is that all these methods of making yourself better you have to kind of not abandon them, but you have to turn them off when you're facing fellow brown belts and black belts. Because you will not be able to defeat brown belts and black belts without bringing your physicality to bear. Because they're just as good as you, and they have all this jiu-jitsu. But they're also bringing their physicality to bear. So if you, brown belt level jiu-jitsu, are trying to neglect your physicality, and then brown belt jiu-jitsu with all their physicality, you're going to lose. And that was the hardest thing for me to accept because, right, gentle arts, just relax. And I have been trying my best to neglect all of my physicality, like neglect my breakdancing skills, neglect my strength and power. But at brown belts, when you got to bring that stuff back in.
Yeah, maybe the only exception perhaps when someone is older than you or...
Oh yeah, but I meant like someone who's even with you. When you're having that rule to see who actually wins, right? Like, as much as I always go 80%, I'm human. I'll occasionally break my own rules. I was rolling with Brian yesterday, and we rolled for 45 minutes straight. And the whole time, he kept escaping my stuff. I kept getting my entries, kept escaping. And I wanted to die. But a piece of me was just like, I'm in good shape. There's no way he's not tired too. And I don't usually do that. I'd never met this guy before. And like, I'm doing all my favorite stuff and it's not working. And so I was just like, why isn't it working? And that's probably part of why I'm like this today, because I redlined my body and now I'm sick. So like, there's no free lunch. Like, even me, like, I'm still vulnerable to it. You just want to not give in to that seductive nature of like wanting to have victory all the time. You're going to give into it occasionally. But if you do that every roll, you're just going to be off the mats. You're going to have, all the mangled broken fingers, broken wrists, broken elbow. You're just going to be a bunch of tape, head to toe. And it's not going to help you. It's really not going to help you. So giving you a bunch of games, so boredom. If you're bored when you roll, try your best. This is my favorite one. I will only use in the whole open mat, not open mat, but the whole rolling portion of class, things that I've taught this person. So I've got 14 years of experience, they've got 2. But I can't use that. I've only taught them arm bar, knee slide, etc. I have to make lemonade with that. So now we're in the same game right now, right? You have less moves than me, but I'm only going to use moves that you have. So now we're having an even thing. If I can't make what I'm teaching you work, well, then I'm probably not a very good teacher. And these are the rules that I've had the most, like, kind of epiphanies with me. Because you guys aren't teachers, and so you're not going to have that situation. But you always know, like, when you're rolling with somebody who has less skills than you. But you might want to suggest it to your training partner. Like, hey, let's try a game. And like, I always say a game because that takes away the feeling of intensity. Let's play a game. Hey, I only know, and here's what I know. Let's only do that. Let's see what happens. Be fun. Another fun game is not actually even jiu-jitsu, but it's a great game. So I call this game Knights. The whole point of this game is to help you with your hooks on that control. And whenever I play, it's a game I usually did with kids, but it's a lot of fun for adults too. So the whole idea is that everybody, when you're a kid and you pretend to be a horse on your hands and knees, and then you have your brother or whoever on your back, and you march around like you're a horse in the night, you get everyone in your gym to all be a horse in the night. And then the person on top, if they touch the floor, they're dead. So you're walking around, and if you have good hooks, you won't fall off. You cross your ankles, you'll fall off every time. This is some of the most fun I've ever had in jiu-jitsu. Because everyone crashes, and there's always going to be, right? So you're going to be a very big horse, right? I don't think you're going to be a rider. And so we would have you, and so 2 or 3 people are going to gang up on you because they don't want to deal with that horse by themselves. And so you'll see, but everyone is practicing this, and it's fun. So really my answer to all of these things is fun. Like, once you can laugh while you're losing, then you're kind of, you've taken the venom away from that feeling. Now, and you don't have to grit your teeth, right? So if someone is cross-facing you and you feel that your nose is just like getting crushed, you can just tap. A lot of us feel like if I'm not choking unconscious, I don't get to tap, right? Like, or if you tap to side control. But it all depends on what we're doing. If my goal is to get gritty and not tap side control, I'm going to do that. But I don't have to be a hero every day. Is that all making sense? I think I've kind of starting to repeat myself now. Anybody be like, yeah, you said all that, but this doesn't help me at all. I still have the same problem. Anyone feel like I haven't addressed any of your concerns or have other concerns you wanna ask about? No? Or I gotta ask this question differently. Let's go around the room. Do you have a question? Do you have a question? Do you feel like because of this you will be able to remedy your problem, or you feel like you still are going to have that same problem?
I feel like I'm going to be able to slow things down with certain people. Mm-hmm. There's always some that it's going to be easily escalated.
But I think on those people, you got to use your words. You got to talk. And that's where you have to swallow your pride. Because I've seen it, I've done it. Someone starts up and they club you in the head and you go, ugh. Right? They have a collar tie and they touch your head and you stumble 3 feet. They just hit you really hard in the head. And then you have two choices. You can be like, dude, what the hell? Or you can be like, all right, it's on. And I'm going to advise you to, unless this is competition practice, be like, hey, what are you doing? Like, the calmer your voice, the better. Like, what are you doing? Because that hurts way more than, like, you yelling at them, like, calling them an asshole or something. Just very calmly, what are you doing? Like, what do you think this is here? And that's far more disarming than, what the fuck? Jack, because you weren't here for the majority of it, so, any questions? Okay.
I'd love to hear the game, but maybe we can catch
Yeah, I'll give you a list of the games. Yeah.
Well, I have no questions, but I can add, because I have the same problem like you. I talked to my coach, and he was really happy I told him because he didn't realize it was such an issue. So I
talk to your coach for sure.
I addressed it to the people, and even like the people, the heavy ones who always smashed me, but even them, they didn't realize it's like really.
Yeah. Have a pleasant conversation.
Yeah. And say, sorry man, you're just too big, I don't want to roll with you anymore. But not because I don't like you, it's just
No matter what.
there's no point in you. It's just what I did, and now it's like, no, it's fine.
Because like for me, I love rolling with big guys, but that's because I have a skill gap. Right? There's a skill gap between me and them. I have more skill, they have more size, and I can compensate for my size gap with my skill. But if he's bigger than you and he's got more experience, yeah, what are you doing here?
Well, one argument of my coach was, well, I wanted you guys to train to be able to deal with pressure.
And that's grit that I'm talking about. You should do it some. Yeah, you should do it some because you don't want to be in a tournament or a fight, and that's the first time you've ever felt that crushing pressure on your chest. No, definitely not every training, but you have to have that experience. It's valuable, but definitely not every training.
So I actually have a question about this. There's a guy at the last gym I trained at who is probably 150 pounds more than me.
Oh, shh.
And I would roll with him often, and like I could not roll with him unless I was like 100%. Mm-hmm. And even if I tried starting off, slowly or not full force, whatever, like any little time where he would like jerk me around, like it's like disorienting.
Well, here's a thing, like going fast is not necessarily going hard. You can move quickly without spiking your adrenaline and going crazy. It's hard, but you can do it because your advantage is that you're more nimble than he is. And so you're not going to beat a big guy playing a smash pass. They're going to laugh at you, and it's going to be bad. Now you might be able to if that's your thing. Like, there are little guys I know that have amazing smash passes, and they can use them on big guys. But I'm going to venture to guess that that's not your thing. And so I would say continue moving quickly, but it's all about not getting injured. So do you get injured frequently with this guy?
A couple times I get my arms tweaked.
Yeah, so just talk to him. Be like, hey, I know this is what we usually do, but can we like back it off a little bit? Like, I've been getting injured and I love training. Most of the time, these people aren't evil. They just are oblivious. They just don't know. And that's going to be your best bet, is just letting them know. Yeah.
If I can.
Resident big guy.
So, all right. I've actually.
Yeah, later.
I've dropped a little weight. I'm down to about.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, guys, I guess we have, that's the end. So it's an hour already. Thank you for coming. So we'll finish your talk real fast and then we'll call it.
So I'll make it short. I've dropped 25 pounds. I was 285. The guy that I typically trained with or against, his nickname was Boulder, and he was right at 400 pounds. So I understand what it's like to get smashed. At the same time, in many cases, someone your size going against him, if he just rolled with me,
He's not going to grow.
rolling with you, he's not even realizing and paying attention to the fact of how much I can give him a shove and him a shove, and it's going to be totally different. And it's because I'm not really taking into consideration a little bit of adrenaline going that, you know, my little bit of force ends up being a lot more than you might initially been expecting, and then all of a sudden you escalate it. Oh, you want me to go a little bit more? Okay. So, you know, it's just, it really is talking
Yep.
a lot. And for the big guy, getting him to go slower seems to really make a huge difference too in keeping some of the force and the weight off, or more control.
All right. We're going to wrap it up. So last two, and then we'll be done.
No questions.
All right.
I just want to add, there was one guy at the gym and I was rolling with him, and I said, it's not life and death, and then we got into it, and it was a long roll, 5 minutes. For me, that is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept smashing my face and all that stuff, but no submission. And I was thinking, well, I wish he would submit me already because I'm getting tired. But now,
You can just tap. You can always tap. Like, because all a tap means is, I've had enough. That's all it means. Now, if you're in a competition situation, don't tap to side control unless you're being injured. But in training, it's fine. So thank you guys for coming to my class. Hopefully it helps. Huh? Oh, I hope you guys, we were to clap, like, give a class. Thanks, guys. Hopefully this was valuable to you. I will kind of download a lot of those games and send it to you guys. I think that the games are the way to really hone in and practice things. And you can make up your own games. These are just a few games. I'm not rolling tonight because I don't want to get anybody sick. I'll roll tomorrow. Hopefully this flemminess will go away. But by all means, do them in open mat. Boxing gloves are another one. You put boxing gloves on. It's really fun because you can't grab things, and you realize that you can't get your boxing glove in the holes. Like there's a lot of silly things that you can do, but you're gonna find value in them. So
You could wear mittens too.
you could wear mittens, yeah. Like this. All of these things, you're gonna be shocked at how much they help. So I hope you have fun. I hope that you don't quit jiu-jitsu, because at the end of the day, jiu-jitsu for me is its expression. It's an art. And it doesn't always have to be about victory. It can be about growth and expression and having fun. If you see me rolling, sometimes it looks, I'm just playing. Other times I'm trying to win. But your jiu-jitsu is going to be yours. And so I hope that you find it and you continue to grow. As long as you're doing something that you have less experience with, it's a good day. That's it. Much love.